如今的你是不是人生很迷茫呢？快来参加我是谁线上课程，一起来探讨到这个世界的意义和使命是什么。
欢迎大家又回到我的频道，然后当然今天我们很荣幸的又请到了韩国的跳大神Seonmi来跟我们讲述他一些关于他之前经历的，就是有解决过的一些个案，或者是他跟他的一个同僚，算是同僚吧，就是一个群里面的人。然后这一些个案它是如何解决呢？ So welcome back. It's our third episode, I believe. So I'm so glad that you're still here with us. I'm pretty sure most of my friends are very much appreciate you being on my channel to talk more and share more about the cases that you or your spiritual partners or friends, they've been working together with you. So welcome back.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me back on the channel. So this first case was very particular. Some other people may have heard of it just because of how famous it's gotten. But basically, the client's uncle originally held or had a dog farm, like a dog meat farm. So it was like a butchering kind of farm. And so when certain animals are in these kind of farms, like the owners of these meat farms tend to receive like negative karma.
So it's like what the Buddhism said, you don't kill animals or something like this. So is this happening in America or in Korea?
This was in Korea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure in America that it's illegal here. And in Korea, I think that was not quite outlawed during this time yet. So yeah, so he had that kind of farm, and because of all the negative karma and resentment from the dogs, he inherited like really negative energy and misfortune that passed down to the main client, his niece. And so as she was growing up, she also experienced like very vivid haunting experiences in her homes. It seemed to follow her wherever she went. So basically the symptoms were like she would see dark hovering figures, not even just out of the corner of your eye, but she could see it like full frontal vision. And it was usually at nighttime, but she could clearly see like a dark figure like standing around in certain areas.
I'm pretty surprised that it sort of like went to the niece rather than the children of the farmer.
If I recall correctly, he ended up dying. Yeah, he didn't have a good like. So for us, there are natural deaths and unnatural deaths. Natural deaths is what you really want for yourself and your family, because that ensures that you have an easier time going to the underworld and going through everything.
Right.
But when you have an unnatural death, and that's basically almost everything else under the sun, you know, passing in a car accident or even just dying outside of your house, that's considered an unnatural death as well. So it makes it a lot more difficult for your spirit to find its way home in order to then go through to the underworld. And so that's how a lot of ghosts end up becoming like wandering spirits, because they get lost. And so with these kinds of things, like it hit him, it didn't get resolved. And so it moved on to a family member. It gets inherited. It keeps getting passed down. When it gets passed down, it typically gets worse and worse over time because the resentment just builds, right? There's nothing taking away from it.
Yeah, the anger, you know, the hate.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of built up, strong emotions. It impacted the niece where she was being haunted by certain poltergeists. And it wasn't, you know, some ghosts can be more friendly or neutral in their energy, like they're just lost, they don't know what's going on. Other ones, because they've been going against the natural order, like the natural cycle of life for so long, by staying on this plane of existence, their energy becomes more and more convoluted or twisted. And so their emotions start impacting others around them, and their intent becomes darker and darker, and they don't realize it's happening. The spirits that were impacting this client, she was starting to get really terrible thoughts, like basically homicidal thoughts against other people. That's how bad it was impacting her.
What?
Oh, yeah. For anyone that might consider like psychology regarding this situation, with sociology or sociopathy, that kind of psychosis or that kind of mental disorder, it's there from when you're very, very, very young. Like those kinds of thought processes, it can be a little bit difficult for psychologists and psychiatrists to pick at and diagnose early. But there are certain traits and personality thought process that really makes it stand out, or they can catch it when the person is really young. And so this client, she did not have these kinds of thought processes at all until very suddenly. Yeah, that's one of those kind of like
That's how you
red flags.
differentiate the trauma, childhood trauma, which
Mhm.
is psychosis, towards the one that is later of the life where it happens out of nowhere. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's something that can be very much a red flag that something spiritual is impacting you, where like the last 5 or 10 years, your body has been healthy, your mental thoughts have been, it doesn't always have to be cheerful, haha, all the time, but you've been mostly stable, like emotionally stable. And
Okay.
so when you're suddenly like a light switch is flipped off, like you're just thinking constantly about suicidal ideation, about harming others, like that is a very obvious red flag for not just me, but everybody else in our profession, that there is like a negative attachment going on or something is impacting you spiritually. So what happened with this client, she had to get a Mudang involved, and it was like an elder Mudang. And so what the elder Mudang had to do was essentially like twofold. The first thing was that she had to try and do a ritual at the client's house in order to grab the spirit or the ghost and trap it. Once that is complete, we are able to move to the ceremony, in order to let the spirit or ghost talk out their emotions, let them free their resentment, and so they're actually able to pass to the underworld.
That's only the initial part. So, was that like a one-off thing that the elder has to go there to catch those spirits, or she has to constantly go back and do it a couple of times? Because it seems like it has been going on for a long time.
Right, yeah. Well, with the catching the ghost type of ritual, it's done all in one go.
Okay.
If it's deemed as unsuccessful during the ritual, like there's certain things we can pinpoint that lets us know that the spirit is not getting grabbed successfully and getting trapped if it keeps like avoiding our traps, let's say. In that point, like we would move to a different form of a kut ceremony in order to force it. And really, like they say, like cornering, right? Like if you're trying to catch a mouse and you have to corner the mouse before you're able to successfully trap it, it's similar in that fashion.
So after that one session, did she get better, or there's ongoing process after that ceremony, which was in her house? But did she has to continue the treatment of cleansing or not?
No, so like the ritual, catching the ghost ritual was done at the house, but the gut ceremony, that was done at like a shrine temple location. So it's like those were done 2 different days.
Ah, okay.
And then after the ceremony, the client and her boyfriend felt like completely different. They felt much better, like back to how they used to be mentally and physically. I mean, they didn't get negatively impacted by that kind of energy or attachments after that.
Wow, very interesting story, because I don't know, like after the ghosts are trapped or catch, where do you send them to? Or does the goddess or the god that you're working with, they actually do something about it? Like how does it work? Like where do they go?
Well, so basically after a successful entrapment during the kut, like we essentially allow the ghost to inhabit and like speak their resentment and get it out, right? After that, that's why Mudangs can't do every single type of coot ceremony. It's very dependent on what gods they have for what ceremonies they can do. So if a Mudang doesn't have the right gods for that specific kind of ceremony, they can't do it. It will never be successful. So for that particular ceremony, the Mudang did have to employ or use or get aid from certain types of underworld type of gods in order to have them guide the spirit to the underworld properly.
Ah, okay, makes sense. It's not like killing them, just like it's just guiding them back to the underworld. Oh, okay, that's quite humane. I thought you catch it and then you kill it or something. I wasn't sure. Just checking.
It's dependent, right? It's definitely dependent on situation. Us as Mudangs, like our role is very humane. Like our first go-to choice will always be more humane. But in situations where it might be like a spirit that's energy is just way too twisted, like it will refuse to go and it will always try to hurt someone. In those cases, we do have to be a lot more forceful.
Right. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm sure you have more to come to share with my fans. Yep. Are you ready for a second story, guys? Just give it a like on this video and to be continued.
You should bet on me, like I'm Apple in the 90s. You should bet on me. Gonna wanna get behind me like I'm 23. Before Nike was on Nikes, you should bet on me. You should bet on me.